In today's video, we're going to be having a look at the RBNZ, what's going on with Ant Group, and a brief recap on the coronavirus and the US election. Hello and welcome to another acysecurities Hot Topics video. My name is Alistair Schultz and I'm going to be host of today's trading journey. The first thing I'm covering off today is just to give you an update on what's happening with coronavirus around the world. We have set a new milestone with more than 50 million cases that have been discovered around the globe so far. Of course, we've had nearly 32.9 million people recover and unfortunately 1.25 million deaths at this stage, and that number is expected to continue rising with resurgences occurring across most of Europe and of course in the US as well. Now, looking at what's gone over the weekend, we've already heard and a lot of you have already seen a lot of information about this, so I don't want to spend too much time covering the election in the US. At this point, it is Biden in the victory, though it hasn't been officially mandated from the actual government itself yet. So we are waiting to get some of those responses, but of course the inauguration isn't going to be until January, so we do have a lead up with Trump still in power for a little while to go. Now, naturally, there is some contention point and a couple of hurdles to go through. We are seeing that there is going to be likely some pushback on some of the voting side of things, particularly from the Trump administration. So hopefully we do see a little bit of a calm coming in the next couple of weeks and that we do see this all settle down a little bit more. Now, moving on, the RBNZ has basically started setting the tone for negative overnight cash rates or negative interest rates. What we're seeing at this point in time is the next meeting is on Wednesday and it's going to be with a monetary policy statement included. Now, of course, Governor Orr is expected on the day to give us some form of cheap lending for banks, paving the way for economists to start thinking about the idea of negative interest rates. Now, if he does do this, then it's likely not going to be negative interest rates at the next meeting. It'll be the one after that, early in 2021. So expect to see that on the way, and obviously keep an eye on your New Zealand dollar if you're going to be trading it. Now, moving on to Ant Group. Ant Group have had a pretty bad time. This is a bit of a summary for you from last week. We saw that Ant Group was likely going to be the biggest IPO we've ever seen, something in the $35 billion mark. Now, of course, it's all gone belly up. Now, we had regulators step in about 2 or 3 days before the IPO was going, saying that we're unwinding the deal. And of course, by that stage, we had $3 trillion in orders, 1.5 million retail investors, and an estimated 1/5 of Hong Kong's population riding this in. Now, this also had a huge amount of leverage. Some brokers were offering up to 20 times the normal amount. So that indicates that we do have a lot of people that are likely going to be out to dry at the moment with a little bit of a leeway for losses. Now, having said that, it is better that the regulating side of things has happened now rather than later. It would be a much worse situation if we were to see that this did IPO and then they went, okay, we're going to can it now, because you would see the value of those stocks basically plummet. And so even though we do have this issue going on, there are a lot of people out of pocket, and there are probably going to be some changes that happen in the next couple of weeks about how the transfers of money goes, but we're likely to see a lot of it get redistributed, particularly among some of those institutional investors who might instead put the money towards Alibaba or perhaps some other sort of payment gateways out of that area. So definitely something to keep your eyes on, because we've just got a whole heap of cash sitting there waiting to get invested somewhere else. So it'll be interesting to see where people think their money is going to be safer. Now, moving on for the news ahead of today. For the chef, we have unemployment data coming out, so keep an eye on that. We also have ECB President Lagarde speaking later in the session, and the Bank of England's Governor Bailey as well. Now, an important one to note for this week, particularly if you're into your REIST, real estate investment trust sort of stuff, then mortgage delinquencies out of the US is going to be running between today and the 13th of this month. So there will be likely some turbulence around that. We want to see where numbers are falling. I'm not expecting there to be huge amounts of action around it, but we may see something interesting, particularly considering the US situation at the moment. We're likely to see a few delinquencies on them that more than normal. Now, if you do want to get in contact with me about anything, ask questions, whatever it may be, feel free to reach out on any of my socials, or simply shoot me an email at talktoal@acy.com. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe this video so you can get more great content from me and ACY Securities in the future. Have a great trading day ahead.